All right, so we just watched Grave Encounters, and this is a movie I'd seen before. This is a movie you haven't seen. It's a documentary-style movie about...
Found footage horror.
Yeah, about a bunch of people who are filming a TV show, like
Discovery Channel.
like Discovery Channel. Like,
Yeah.
They go to a spooky place, and it's kind of... I think they kind of nail the cheapness of a show like that. Like, they're all wearing,
hokey,
black. They're all, they got this sort of guy who follows them who's kind of a medium. He's very seance driven, and but yeah, they go to a place and it's actually haunted. Can you believe that?
I'm shocked.
Me too.
Truly
I
shocked.
thought it was just going to be 30 minutes. They were just showing B-roll of people doing stuff, and then they would just end.
Yeah.
So, we don't have to go into a whole bunch of plot stuff.
I mean, yeah,
it might be, but go ahead. How do you want to start?
I guess just like I'm sure many people have seen this film before. I have not, but the whole premise is like they're again filming this horror. The very beginning is like they found this footage. It's not edited or whatever, but then they showed all this film that's like cut down to show us like this was a true story. But the whole crazy part of it was like they spent the night in this place, and then 6 a.m. rolls around and Kenny, the building manager, isn't there, even though he like locks them in this building so they can. It's like a challenge, I guess, which makes no sense to me. Why would you
totally lock them? Of course, you have to lock them.
Why would you lock
I don't know.
the exit with a chain and a lock?
It makes no sense. It's like
huge liability. But then like. From there, they get out of that door and it's just like hallways and it's an endless maze. So, and then, again, things start transpiring, people start going missing, and that's pretty much
it's just like it's like a haunted house, right? It's a haunted house thing. They're stuck in a psychiatric hospital that has since been defunct. It was a place where, I mean, you've heard this cliche a billion times. The field was very young. They're giving people lobotomies. It's cruel. Yeah. It's a very primitive way of treating mental disorders, and they find themselves in the middle of it all.
Yeah.
So, what did you... Instead of going through the plot... Because, the plot is very, like, they do this, this happens. Yeah. They do this happens. It's just like a spooky haunted house, basically.
And...
What did you think about the movie stylistically? What did you think about the movie, like, just initially as you were watching it?
Like, I think, like, this kind of reminds me of, like, every baseline psychiatric horror or psychiatric hospital horror. Like, it's, like, just, whether you could spin it any different way that you want, but, like, there's stationary cameras, like, you're going to see spooky footage, you're going to see creepy imagery, you're going to have panic ensued by... whatever plot points, you're going to have some type of plot device about, like, they can't escape, and what means is that they can't escape by. And this one just happens to be, like, the endless maze type horror. Are they crazy? They see a lot of spooky things. They try to find exit points, and they're just, like, either... gone or they're just full of concrete.
The maps are useless. Yeah. The building is changing as they are navigating it.
So to me, it's like, it kind of fits that bill of like, and I don't maybe want to speak too much, but it kind of feels like when I think about that movie, Cabin in the Woods, where they like kind of pick the horror, it kind of reminds me of that. Like, it kind of reminds me of a schlocky psychiatric horror or psychiatric hospital horror film. Like at the baseline. And this is kind of like where you start out with, and then you can kind of change things as you need to, like have less people die in one other film or have an escape route in another film. So, to me, it was, it met my expectations of being like a spooky film,
Yeah.
Found footage.
Did you feel like the whole TV angle worked in its favor?
Yeah, I think so. I think because Lance is a very charismatic guy, like he continues to like give exposition from a like TV personality still, even though like people are dying. and even Sasha is still like why are you doing that? And he's just like, I forget what his explanation was, but he's like, I'm just gonna do it. I just want to do it, So it kind of gives you an idea of like that's gonna be the point to which we derive information from, or perspective from, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when you first saw it? I mean, what do you feel about like watching it another time through? Like,
yeah. So I've seen this movie several times. I think the first time I saw it, I was pleasantly surprised. Like I thought it was kind of unique. But let me take a step back and say that my horror movie catalog of things that I've watched is fairly narrow. So as far as I know, this could be like a story that's been told a billion times over. Some angles are like you were talking about the psychiatric hospital. That's such an incredibly I don't know, like people have mined that like crazy. But I think the TV angle's fun. Like I think they do a really good job of portraying the sort of Discovery Channel silly, goofy sort of horror show where they know it's kind of a phony thing. But I think that Lance, throughout the show, he does have sort of this hope that like maybe they will find something. And even if it is something that's like, hey, I just need some chum. I need something that will get people to watch our show. But he does seem like genuinely hopeful that they'll see something paranormal. Like he seems like he's somewhat of a believer.
Yeah. There are times where the characters encounter things, and it's kind of funny how surprised they are about it. I'm surprised that they're surprised because they're on a paranormal activity type show. So why are they flipping out over like a door slamming? So it sounds like, to me, that I don't know. Like, I know they said they're only 6 episodes in, so maybe they haven't encountered things that spooky before.
Yeah, my guess is that like most of it's BS.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Like
that's
most
true.
of the stuff that they do, they don't see anything. They don't ever hear anything or whatever.
Yeah, that's
so
fair.
I don't know. Like when I first saw this. Going back to your original question, like when I first saw this, I was pleasantly surprised. I think as I've watched this again and again, I find more, I don't know, complaints about it.
I mean, that's with any movie,
But like in a way where I would say, I'll just be forthright. Like I don't think this is a good movie.
Oh, really?
I don't think so. It's fun.
Yeah, I guess let me see kind of, because I have a few complaints too.
Yeah, go ahead.
And then maybe you can kind of agree. Like, I will say a lot of it is. It's a lot of like, there's like a big pacing problem. It's like hills and valleys. Like, it's like a lot of just like wandering, meandering, looking around.
It takes a long time for this movie to hit the ground running.
Yeah, and then when you start to see stuff, you're like, oh, there's like the first actual scary thing to me, aside from like, the
noises, like that stuff.
Yeah.
You mean like beyond that kind of stuff is what you're talking about?
Yeah. Like there's a lot of noises. There's a lot of like, I think the first like spooky thing to me was like when they open the door and the exit and it's like a hallway.
Yeah, exactly. That's when like the movie to me makes that change.
And then you start to kind of get a little bit more, there's like bigger concern when entities like show up, like the girl in the corner and then she turns and her face changes. And that's like, okay, like that, we're finally getting there. And that was about what? I mean, 45.
Yeah, it was a while.
I mean, it's, so there's a lot of other spooky things, but like to me, it's like the crux of the scare is in these entities and ghosts or whatever you want to call them, spirits. And it just takes a while to get there. And it's kind of an ebb and flow. So that was one complaint. I thought some of the effects were cool, like the blood. I thought like the metal beds, like, getting pushed over, flying.
They're effective.
I think the entities themselves are like like they're believable as like humans, but they're also like demonic in a way. I thought they were spooky, So I think that was the biggest flaw for me. Is like just a little. It's
slow.
I don't want to say boring.
It is. I mean, I would say the first half is kind of boring.
Yeah. There's a little bit of a bore feeling to it. there's also, like, I feel like the one thing they did at least decently well is, like, the characters do mostly believable things.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't seem, like, too abnormal or, like, too stupid.
You don't feel like you don't feel like your intelligence is insulted. You don't feel like the way that we felt in a couple other movies where you're like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
Why would that doesn't make any sense. The reason why you're not like sold on the movie is not necessarily due to the way that people act. I feel like they act the way that I would expect people who are sleep deprived and hungry to act.
Yeah. Man, there's little hokey parts. Like there was the part where Houston, he's like the psychic medium. He like, he's lost, and I think the movie does a great job with like demonstrating how do you show someone in pitch dark how they would respond without like while being able to film them in the dark. So they use like this night vision, which like he's like wandering the halls when he gets separated from the group, and it's like that's a very like I hate being in the dark. I'm not gonna lie, that would be terrifying for me. And then he gets choked, and then the hokey part is like he gets like blasted by this lightning energy, and then he gets like tossed in front, like down the hall. To me, it was just like of all the things that these ghosts do, like that is like one thing that doesn't look like a very natural thing for them to do. Like to go from choking to like killing him with an electronic blast. It felt a little just out of place.
You get some whiplash from seeing that
like
kind
maybe
of
like throwing up against the wall and like someone like killing him like physically would be better, or even like if you were like grabbed by hands or an entity and like put into a room and then and the door slams.
Yeah, or if they don't, maybe the camera cuts out and you just hear it. Yeah. And then the rest of the people that are wandering the halls find him and he's like in some mangled position or something like that. I think that would be a lot more effective.
Yeah. At least from like what I remember, those are like a couple of the things that I would complain about. I think that it does a really good job of like showing how long and just like maze-like this hospital is. I think it's very unnerving to feel like you can't escape. And then when you go to the roof access and there's literally like it's just a concrete wall where the door should be. That to me is like kind of like it's kind of funny as a viewer. But then it's like, if you were in their spot, how would you, man, you would probably feel so bad. Yeah. So I thought the movie did that part really well.
Yeah, I think that I think a movie like this, a lot of movies like this, it's easy to be like, how can you possibly get lost in a building like this or whatever? Mm-hmm. But, I mean, it's honestly a lot easier than I think people think that it is. Mm-hmm. Especially when everything looks the same, it's dark, it's hard to tell. Like, it is very easy to get lost in a new building that you've never been in. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, of course, like, part of the big part of it is that the building is changing while they're there. Yeah. But I always think, I don't know, I'm kind of a sucker for a movie that's, like... that has those kind of attributes where like the building is alive and it's changing. Like I think a haunted house movie really scratches a lot of itches I have when it comes to horror. Even though like they're silly, they're fun. I think that my biggest complaint is exactly the same one you brought up as your first one, is that it's paced too slow. Yeah. This is a movie that's an hour and a half. It should be fun. It should be like,
like a haunted house.
Yeah, it should feel kind of like a haunted house, like where everything is just like go, go, go. I don't mind some of that kind of setup, but for a movie like this, I don't think it serves it very well for it to have this long kind of setup process. And by the time that you get through that setup process, I mean, what's effectively happened? They've talked to a couple people. They've talked to a groundskeeper. They've talked to a psychic. They've talked to the person who manages the building. You know very little about these characters. You've seen some of the building. They're setting up cameras. It's like there's a lot of preamble, and I don't think that it serves the movie very well. It's not like you learn a bunch of interesting information from all these people. It's like, yeah, it's a spooky place. And
Yeah.
I do think it is fun, though. Like, I guess, like, this might sound contradictory, but I do think it's fun that they talk to the groundskeeper and he's like, I've not seen anything weird. And then they're like, hey, we're going to slip you a 20 here. Have you seen anything weird? Oh, yeah, I saw a ghost. It was scary. Yeah. I think stuff like that is fun because I think it leans into the
schlocky.
The TV. It's like a TV show. They're trying to make it compelling. And so I think it's fun to see them say, like, how do we show up at a place like this and make a 30-minute TV show about this stuff, about whatever we capture? So I think that when they lean into it, but it takes too long. It takes way too long.
Yeah, there's a couple of other things that happen, like like the timer on some of the cameras just start like wigging out, like it's unnatural, or like there's like the compass is like flickering in all directions. So it's like clearly they're in some type of like unworldly dimension, like once the doors were shut and locked, they become part of this world. And kind of going on to that note, like that. Maybe it's trying to convey a plot that I just don't understand. Like, at least during the most part of the movie was like, just like, oh, they're in a psychiatric hospital with tormented spirits that, they can't escape, and thus they'll torment these people, whatever. But when Lance, he's by himself now, everyone's disappeared, he goes in the basement, and then he finds the doctor's, like operating room and his like desk. He's walking around and then he sees like this, some ritualistic materials with a skull and like a book with some
arcane symbols, runes.
It looks like the language from Oblivion, like from Skyrim. It does.
Yeah, it does. Or like God of War.
Yeah, it looks very and then he like turns up. And then there it is. There's the doctors, and they look normal. But then he makes a noise. They turn, and it's like the same kind of like spooky face that they've been shown before. And, then Lance says something about like, he says I can leave now because I'm good. I'm guessing he got a lobotomy. But I just don't get the stuff with like the ritual, ritual thing. Like, doesn't really make sense to me.
It's like, I mean, we've made this statement about a couple of movies we've seen. It's like, they don't it's like they don't have enough conviction in their own story that they have to throw in like, but there's this other angle that we didn't even it's kind of like thrown in there kind of haphazardly.
It doesn't need that. I think having the character have a lobotomy is a funny, like, not funny, but like it's kind of like a tie back to the very beginning, where the doctor just is doing lobotomies and then he gets killed by his nurse. Whatever.
This sort of ancient script adds nothing to like their plight. It adds nothing to really anything about the doctors. It's like they're the doctors. They're doing terrible things to people.
Unless that explains why they're like in this dimension problem, but like to me it's like that doesn't need to be
to me, like, creating parameters and defining that makes the movie less interesting. It's like it's supposed to be mysterious. I think that by trying to explain the mystery, I feel like it's just not as interesting anymore.
Like Aaron said, I think that's a good way to put it. Like, you close the walls to what possibilities could happen, and when the viewer does that, then like you're not letting them think for themselves, and it kind of dumbs down like the whole premise of, well, you were stuck in this thing because, well, the doctor had a skull and drew a symbol on the floor. And
they're communicating with a demon, and
like you don't really need all that. Come on, it would have been better if just like maybe even if you just saw like the symbol and that was maybe enough to be like, whoa, that's kind of like, wonder what that's about. Maybe, but like, I don't know.
To me, it's like the telltale sign of wanting to have a sequel. It's like throwing out something that's like, oh, we could talk more about that, but we're not going to, not in this one.
Yeah.
There
is a Grave Encounters too.
There is. It's not very good.
Oh, so you did see that one?
I have, yeah.
Does it have to do with that? Do you see the ritual?
I don't think it does. I don't think it has anything to do with it.
I'm curious to see what happened. I wouldn't probably watch the second one, but I'm interested.
You know, I mean, there's a couple movies that are like this. Have you ever seen As Above, So Below?
Yes. I did see that one.
I like that one maybe a little bit better, but it was very similar. Very, very similar.
I would say I like that one better because it deals with... I think I like the characters a little bit more, but also... Yeah, okay, so this is a little bit off topic, but kind of comparative. But because no spoilers for that movie, but this movie, I didn't realize how dreadful I would feel at the end. Just there's no way out.
Yeah, how hopeless you feel?
It just it made me feel extremely hopeless. Just not sad, but just
like there was no purpose to what they were doing towards the end.
Well, you're kind of hoping that at least there was some speculation of light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah,
or maybe you hear Kenny's voice or something, and maybe he hears Kenny's voice and then dies.
Right.
I would have been fine with that, but just to be and that was another point that I wanted to make is at the very end, Lance talks about how his feet hurt really bad, but it's just does his feet hurt bad because he's been walking so much or because he's tired? Is it really not as far as they think, but they're just they've just succumbed to fatigue and, lack of sleep? Or is this hospital really endless? Is it really that endless?
Well, I thought what was interesting is I got the impression, I could be wrong, but I got the impression that he was saying his feet hurt from just walking that one last hallway they were in.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying.
Which I think is pretty interesting.
Oh yeah. I'm just saying so does that mean, is it a perspective thing? Was it really not too far of a distance, but his feet hurt that bad, or was this hallway really that endless?
I think kind of both. I think it was long enough for him to actually go through that hallway, and his feet actually did hurt.
Yeah.
But I think that because the place is living, he was just by the time that he was ready to be just done, it was the building presented the next door to him.
Yeah.
It just shows it to him. So it's I do feel like it was, they were walking for what seemed literally forever, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, yeah. I mean, I maybe not to entirely conclude, but I would recommend this movie. If you want to watch something that's got psychiatric horror vibes, that's kind of a play off of the TV series, then I think it's a good film. It has its shortfalls, but I would think that it's something that I would encourage somebody to watch if they like this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I just as what we typically do whenever we start going through and discussing this is we'll have the movie on mute and we'll be watching it. Mm-hmm. Just out of curiosity, I was okay, because I feel the exact same way. I feel when they open the door in the lobby, that is when what I think is the second half of the movie where it actually starts picking up. Mm-hmm. And if you're looking at the timeline of the scrubber in your video player, it literally is the halfway point. Yeah. That is way too long.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what is this? Almost 48, 50 minutes before you get to that point. That is way too long for something that I think could be, I think that this movie needs to have more of what it has in the back half, but in the front half, I think that it's good that they're showing a lot of the TV setup process. They're leaning into this whole documentary style approach. I like that. They shouldn't remove it, but I think that they need to, I don't know, some of the stuff that's happening in after the first 20 minutes, I think it just really needs to pick up.
Yeah.
But I think that, I don't know, this is one of those movies that I think has the same kind of replay value I feel like The Office kind of has. I could throw this in the background and just be doing something else. Yeah. I don't know, it just kind of has that feel to me.
Yeah. I was going to mention one other thing. Because they were talking about at the very beginning, they found this footage, and I'm trying to think, if this was, another dimension, or maybe it's not, or maybe it's, more spiritual, but still physically there, but they just can't leave. I'm wondering how they got the tape. How did they get the tapes then?
Okay, I'm glad you asked this because this was something I did want to ask. Through the whole movie, we have the perspective of these individuals. They're there for what is it like? I mean, 72 plus hours, right? So, okay, presumably, Kenny, the building caretaker, shows up in the morning. What do you think he sees? Like,
I bet he sees nothing. I bet he sees no blood. No, I think he might have seen like things, like they're in a spiritual world. I feel like they see physical manifestations of those things. I bet like all the cameras are there. I bet the broken lights are there. There's no bodies.
Yeah.
I bet there's like all the camera equipment that Matt drops whenever he's upstairs. I bet he sees all that stuff. I just don't think he sees.
He doesn't see them, obviously.
Them. Yeah, that's is what I would guess.
Yeah, I kind of wondered that as just, whenever they make their way through the hallway at the end of the lobby and they find out that they're actually stuck in here, like really stuck in here, at this point, Kenny is gone to the building. Yeah. I kind of have the same impression. I imagine he opens the door and there would have to be the physical like cameras and stuff like that so that they could get the film. But I mean, the people are not there.
Yeah.
I guess the other thing is, I guess the thing that is, maybe this is thinking too much into it, is they have to also recover the camera footage from the people with the handhelds. So if he comes back in 24 hours, does he have that? Or does he just notice that there's nobody there and then, a week later the studio comes in and recovers all that? I'd be curious I don't know. I don't know if I have a good answer for that.
Yeah, I don't know. They do obviously get it somehow, but again, that's kind of the fun part about like leaving that stuff to interpretation. Like there are probably many theories about that happening.
And stuff like this, like I think you can easily be like, oh, it's a plot hole. How would they do X or Y or Z? I don't know. Like I don't tend to think of it like that. I just sort of maybe have a little bit of fun with.
Yeah,
like it's not going to make sense. It's not going to be tied up in a neat bow.
No, I don't need things to make sense. I mean, this movie doesn't make sense.
No, nothing. Even like the stuff at the beginning doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
it's really
like,
goofy.
Yeah, but it's in that movie quote world. It plays by its rules, and that's why it feels it feels fine.
Yeah, like I try to. This isn't always the case, but I try to judge the behavior of the people in the movie by the movie's rules and standards and like the things that they're trying to do. So because you could get hung up on that stuff all the time. It's hard to have that belief when you're watching movies like we were talking about we need to talk about Kevin. I mean, it's really hard to not think like, why are they behaving like this? This is not how normal humans would behave.
Yeah.
So it is hard to watch a movie like that and think of it within the confines of the rules that they've established. But yeah, I think for a movie like this, it is what it is. It's sort of a goofy movie. It's silly. I think you don't take it too seriously.
Yeah.
And overall, I do like it a lot, but I think that, I totally agree with the pacing problems. Yeah. A lot of pacing problems.
I would, like I said, I just kind of go back to what I said earlier too. I do recommend watching this. It's kind of a fun Halloween type movie. Like it's a good scare. It probably won't stick with me as like a story from the story perspective, but like, they had some good scares in there, like some jump scares, and it was fine.
Yeah, so. I think that, I mean, some of my other complaints, setting aside the things we've already talked about, have to do with just documentary-style movies where, I mean, we were talking about at the very beginning that...
the zoom.
Oh, my God, just like, we get it, you're shooting a movie with a handheld. Like, it was almost like...
Yeah.
They were making a show of it, of like, it was jostling like crazy, zooming in and out, and it's just like, oh my gosh, it's just too much.
Feels like feels like an early 2000s or late 1990s, just like something that's what I would have done with the camera when I was like 10 years old.
Yeah. Well, and like just for the heck of it, I've pulled up Grave Encounters 2, the sequel. I don't know when it came out, but anyway, I'm scrubbing through this, and it's about the halfway point before you start seeing anything in that one too. It's just like the pacing of these is just
There's a reason why there wasn't a Grave Encounters 3.
Yeah, like the story isn't good enough to have this sort of preamble before you get to the meat.
Yeah.
Like it's like if you go to I don't know, like Texas Roadhouse. Like I want the main course. I'm sure the salads are good. But I don't want to be eating that salad for 40 minutes, I want to get to the meal.
Texas Roadhouse, please sponsor us.
Yeah, actually, this one is sponsored by Texas Roadhouse. Texas Roadhouse, come get it. It's good. Got the biscuit. That's the new tagline.
That is. Get these rolls, baby.
Get the rolls. Get the goals. I don't know. I totally agree with you. Like I would check this out. I think it's fun. It's not very long. You don't feel like it's not one of those things where you've invested a whole bunch of time and it's like, oh my gosh, it didn't pay out. I wasted 2 hours of my weekend. It's like it's just an hour and a half. It's fine. Yeah. I think that we don't really talk about movies that we want to watch next, but I think that this one is one that I picked. I think the next ones that I might be picking, I would like to go through Evil Dead. I don't think you've watched any Evil Dead movies, have you?
Maybe back. It's been a while. If I have, yeah.
The first one's great. Second one I do like, but I think that the third one is so good. And then the other movie I was really had I actually written this one down, maybe this is the one that we would have saw, was Return of the Living Dead. That is such a fun movie.
Yeah.
I don't know why zombie movies have been kind of piquing my interest again, but anyway.
Yeah. I'd consider watching it.
Anything else you want to add to this?
No, I think that's it.
All right.
Catch you on the flip side.
Grave Encounters. This is Preston. This is Preston Larry.
This is Lester Preston. Signing off.
Get it going.